every morning with drive. Being on the grind, know I had to survive. We had to win. Started from the dirt and the rubble. I had to be the needle that was popping your bubble.
Hello and welcome into the Rookie Prospect Profile Series. This is a Zilla Fantasy Elite production. Today we're going to be looking at wide receiver Marcus Rosemy-Jacksaint within the rookie wide receiver machine learning models. Getting into the undrafted free agents here. Are these guys going to end up making your lineups, or are they just bound for the waiver wires? Our machine learning models hold the answers for you. Well, let's go look at their verdict. As I had mentioned, Marcus David Rosemy-Jacksaint comes into the NFL as an undrafted free agent. He was picked up by the Washington Commanders as an undrafted free agent, and he played college football for the Georgia Bulldogs, winning those 2 national championships with him. He comes in at 6'1", 195 pounds, 35-inch vertical, but he does have 33-inch long arms, which is pretty good, and 10-inch hands, which is also very good. We could see an interesting profile here for Marcus. Let's go look at year 1, see what we find. And perhaps not unsurprisingly for an undrafted free agent, a lot of high numbers there in the rankings, mean and median at 39th out of the 41 in the entire class, 2.21, 2.11 respectively, and a paltry maximum output below 7 fantasy points per game at 6.95. Let's go look in historical context. Who's hovering just above 2 fantasy points per game during their rookie season? Believe it or not, all of these players were between 2.1 and 2.2 fantasy points per game in their rookie season. Sammy Coates, Maurice Harris, Marcus Wheaton, Josh Malone, John Ursua, Darius Davis, Tyler Scott, Devin Tompkins, Jalen Naylor, Seth Williams, Richie James, Jeff Smith, Jalen Tolliver, and Bradley Marquez. Wow, a lot of names that I've never even heard of there. Maximum output at just below 7, probably disappointing, even if he's in your lineup at that rate, because that's KJ Hamler, Dante Moncrief, MVS, Steven Sims, Denzel Mims territory in their rookie season. Not a super great list of names. Mecole Hardman, Alec Pierce, just above that particular level in their first season. So let's see if there's any sort of hope going into year 2 for Marcus. And we see, he jumps up a little bit into the high 2s. It's still not very good for your fantasy lineups, but 37th rank there and 39th rank maximum output. So not looking like he's got that great of a ceiling either. Let's look at those historical comps in the last 11 draft classes. Out of the second-year wide receivers, who's hitting about 2 3/4 fantasy points per game. In that range, we have Jaden Mickens, Cody Latimer, Keith Mumphrey, Jeff Smith, Chad Beebe, and Devin Smith. Whirlwind of fantasy success there, wink, wink. Let's go look at the maximum output, 7.43. Hopefully a little bit better names there. We get Corey Brown, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Paris Campbell, Jahan Dotson, Corey Coleman, Rico Gafford, Kendrick Bourne, all in that particular range. That's, in the last 11 draft classes, just around the top 100 in the second year. So not very good. Let's get into year 3. Do we see him continue to improve going from year to year to year? And yeah, we actually see a pretty decent bump up into the high 3s here, 3.72 and 3.95 fantasy points per game. While it's nice to see him going up, that's still a pretty low number, but we do see his rankings increase here. Mean and median, 32nd, 33rd. Maximum output at 27th is climbing the ranks as well. Let's go look at the historical comps out of the last 11 draft classes, who is hovering in some of these ranges. And in their third year in these ranges, we see KJ Hamler, Trey McBride, the wide receiver, Corey Brown, Deshaun Hamilton, Freddie Martino, and Kadarius Toney. Not a very good list there. Maximum output, 12.10. Now we're starting to cook with gas in that range. That's Nelson Aguilar in his 3rd season. Also in that range, Jordan Matthews, Devin Funchess, John Ross, DJ Chark, Taylor Gabriel, all in that particular range for their 3rd season, and definitely fantasy relevant at 12 fantasy points per game. All right, let's look into year 4. Do we continue to improve? And yeah, we do. We are now right in the 4.5 fantasy point per game range. Maybe at this point he's starting to be like, hey, this guy kind of improves every year. You can maybe sell him for some dynasty assets at this point, but if you've been holding him for 3 years, it's a loss anyway. Let's look mean and median 26th rank, and then maximum output 16th rank, so more of the low floor, high ceiling type of prospect here in year 4. But in that 4.5 fantasy point per game range during their 4th season, we got names in that range of James Washington, Jakeem Grant, Farrell Cooper, Chester Rogers, Anthony Miller, Geronimo Allison. Not super great. 13.6 though, I think we're going to see some pretty healthy names in that range, especially for year 4 wide receivers. And we see guys like Kenny Golladay, DK Metcalf, Mike Evans, Terry McLaurin, Corey Davis, Brandon Cooks, Tyler Lockett, Tyler Boyd. A lot of pretty good names, all within that particular range of his maximum output, if he should reach that. Again, played for the Georgia Bulldogs, so he knows what it's like to be a champion, but it might take him a while to actually progress and get through all of those particular options. And if we look at that bottom left graph, that maximum output is really a loner out there, way out there at the 13.6. Otherwise, most of them in the 11 range. The 99th percentile was well below that. All right, that's going to do it for today's rookie prospect profile on Marcus Rosemy-Jacksaint. Probably somebody we can leave on our waiver wires. This is presented by Zilla Fantasy Elite. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.